992 pilots that graduated from Tuskegee. Those are just pilots. Now, you start adding in the bombardiers, navigators, and auxiliary personnel, and there's a whole lot of history here that nobody's aware of.
Why is it that this is the first time in my 40 years on this earth? I love aircraft.
Because, typical of so many situations that exist, nobody publicizes it. It's here, but nobody...
Tuskegee Institute, Alabama. Much of modern black history has sprung from here. One little-known bit of history involves the beginning of blacks in military aviation. At Tuskegee's Moton Airfield, one man who was there when it began and is still an active participant is Charles Alfred Anderson, better known as Chief.
There's the original building that was built here at the beginning of the Army Air Force training program. It used to house the shops for the maintenance of the steermen that we used. Here was the offices of Army Air Force people in charge of the program. Along here, right in this area, is where we had the fuel storage. Out here further, off to my right, is where the flight line was. Planes were, I think we had about, maybe about 50, 60 airplanes lined up down there. Matter of fact, there was 2 rows of them. We had a wind tee out in the center of the field that gave the general direction of the wind, and planes would land along beside each other. Of course, planes were landing all over the field, but all in the same direction at one time. And they landed according to the way the wind tee was pointing. We now have under construction a new 5,000-foot strip, which will accommodate executive jets, and also taxi strip, which was, this land was turned over by Tuskegee Institute to the city so we could get funds from the government, the state, and model cities to construct this. We're now looking forward to this attracting industry to Tuskegee, hopefully. Matter of fact, I think some have already decided to come. Well, here we are, standing on the southeast, northwest runway of what used to be Tuskegee's Army Airfield. Here's where the cadets came after finishing the Moton Field to take the advanced training. They're housed here in barracks up on the hill there. Barely see some of the old chimneys standing where the barracks used to be. Over behind this hill here, on top of the hill really, was headquarters. That's where, at that time, it was Captain Parrish. He was in charge of the Army Airfield. That was his headquarters. And then the planes were lined up all along that ramp up there. There's various types of aircraft up there, training airplane mostly. And I would assume that there were about 300 or 400 airplanes here at one time. The pilots used to come out and fly, and they'd practice out here on this strip. They were all tail draggers, and sometime when I got a chance to come over here and see them take off and land, I really got a big kick out of it. It really does bring back old memories. Most of the fellows over here who flew over here came through the Moton Field, and they being chief pilot over there, I got acquainted with them, and I always look forward to see them get their wings, which most of them did. Oh, yes, it was the first 5 got their wings here. And that was the beginning of the 99th Pursuit Squadron. And we were all proud of them because they were the first group of blacks to get wings in the Air Force.
Well, here we are. And I'm looking at a picture that was taken back in 1942. And I must say that it takes me back in memory a long way. I see a lot of old friends here. The interesting common fact, though, that surrounded all of their backgrounds was that all of them had wanted to fly. I recall that I myself applied for flying training way back in 1935 when I was a second classman at West Point. And I know that Spanky Roberts had gone through the civilian pilot training program back at in West Virginia. Mac Ross had been a pilot. Interestingly enough, however, it was people like Chief Anderson who were able to maintain the interest among black people in flying in this very sparse period of support by the white world for black aviation. And I would say without any question whatsoever that Chief Anderson probably is the single key figure in maintaining the continuity and relationship between what existed before World War II and what happened in World War II. This one class went on, of course. It was followed each month by a new set of graduates. Enough were finally graduated, the first 25, to form a fighter squadron. And this was called in those days the 99th Pursuit Squadron. We left the old T-6 and started flying P-40s.
At the time this flight program started here for the Army Air Force, Chappie James was already a pilot, and he wanted to be a part of it. There were others here who were already pilots, and they wanted to be a part of it, but none of them were selected. So Chappie, in order to be near the thing, he knew that they were building this air base. So he went over there and got a job over there as a laborer at the air base so he could be around the thing. He used to pick and shovel over there.
Well, Chief was right. I went out there and did a lot of work on runways and barracks and everything, but there was a dual purpose to that. In addition to trying to hurry up that program so I could get in, I was also making some hard-earned cash to continue my education in civilian aviation under Chief's tutelage, because Chief is one of the finest instructors that ever lived. And I wanted to keep that up just as long as I possibly could. And at that time, there was a one-year waiting period from the time you applied till the time you were called. That's one thing that the young people today don't have to worry about. We're all an integrated United States Air Force. And we're looking for the best people we can find, no matter what their color is, and make sure that they can progress according to their power of excellence and their willingness to demonstrate it. The equal opportunity has become a fact of life in the military and in the Department of Defense more than it is in any other segment of society. And I just want to see young people take advantage of things like ROTC, for example, where they can get 4-year scholarships. I find too many young blacks that don't even know that this opportunity exists. They've got to get out there and inquire, and we've got to get out there and inform them.
We are the heroes of the night. To hell with the active light. Fight, 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 fight. 1999. Rat, 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 rat. Down in flames they go. Withering fire the 99. Send them down below. We are the heroes of the night. To hell with the active might. Fight, 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 fight. 1999. Freedom, bring your love to the gallant men, to the gallant men. I call your flame, O God.
Let's go up and give this bird a pre-flight. and we'll go up and try some of those maneuvers, prepare you so you can be prepared to take this flight check Mr. Cotley's going to give you. Since you passed the FAA, fortunately, we'll look in here and get the checklist. Well, my philosophy is that everybody who is learning to fly should be completely relaxed. The airplane actually flies itself. You sit there and you learn how to nudge the airplane to the right, to the left, up and down. And unless you can relax, well, you can't do that proficiently. That I sit in the airplane, just like you see me sitting here, completely relaxed. And as the student continues to fly, sometimes I'll give him the idea that I'm dozing off. And then he gradually takes over, he does everything himself. And I'm just dozing. And I tell the student, when I can go sound asleep, you're ready to solo. But I tell him, I have to keep one eye on you when you land, though. And that's where I have actually found a way to develop, instill confidence in the student.
I guess I always wanted to fly airplanes ever since I was in high school. Now here I am, an instructor pilot in America's finest fighter aircraft. I guess if I had to name just one guy that gave me the inspiration to attain this goal, I would have to name Chief Anderson. That guy gave me the confidence and determination that is needed to be a fighter pilot. And I know fighter pilots talk a lot and they carry on about how great they are, but it takes something in a man to be a fighter pilot. It takes a certain amount of determination to go out and do the job that he's trained for.
Performance is the absolute key in combat. And when I speak of performance, I mean it's either the delivery of bombs on target, it's the escort of heavy bombers in those days, which were B-17s and B-24s, to protect the bombers, to prevent them from getting shot down by enemy fighters. The 99th Pursuit Squadron was an expert in dropping bombs and hitting targets with bullets and hitting locomotives. It was also an expert in aerial combat. The 99th Squadron did one thing at Anzio that no other squadron did. It shot down 16 enemy airplanes.